Well, good morning, everybody. It is a little bit early, isn't it? I thought I would jump on and do a live. I was feeling a little bit inspired because, God, look at here we go. I'm just going through all of our Beast Mode marketing briefs. And in the briefs, it actually contains what the business owners want to do for the autumn season, because we're getting ready for that now. But it also provides a reflection on results. So, how much revenue did they generate from the last marketing period? How many new clients did they get through the door? And it always fascinates me when I start to look at the results coming through for each one of my accounts, because it's, really, really important that we measure that. And there are significant differences in results for those clinics and those salons. So, I would have top performing clinics or salons getting, in excess of 10 times return on investment for their marketing spend. So, for example, I had one clinic last marketing period invest $9,000 over the 3 months. And generate something like $240,000 worth of revenue off that $9,000, which is insane. And you think, wow, that's how does someone do that? That's crazy. And then I'll look at other accounts and I'll see that, they might have invested $2,000 and then they've made $3,000 or $4,000. So, they're getting a return because we make sure that everyone gets a return, or, there's something that needs to happen there. But there's a clear difference between, salon A that's turning over $250,000 as a result of a $10,000 investment, and one that invested $2,000 and might get $4,000 back. Right? And I want to talk about one of those areas with you because I think it's really important that you understand the fact that you are actually in control of those results. A lot of the time when I speak to business owners, particularly business owners when they first start marketing, they place too much emphasis on the marketing being the predictor of the success, and they don't look at the business operations themselves, what they're doing, how they're doing it enough to understand whether the marketing campaign is going to be successful. I've got a number of different areas in the business that I could present on for this, but I'm going to focus on one area, and that being mindset. There is a clear difference between Clinic A and Clinic B's mindset when you've got Clinic A doing in excess of 10 times return on investment and Clinic A lucky to do 2 times return on investment. When I unpack the mindset piece, they're at polar opposites. So what do I mean by that? Like, what's the difference in mindset between a high-performing clinic that is getting significant return for their marketing investment versus one that is kind of chugging along? There's a few things in terms of mindset. I think the biggest thing is that when they look at their clientele and reasons why their clientele might be declining rebooking or treatment planning, or they might be declining home care, they might be declining upgrades, or whatever's going on in the treatment or the service process, the biggest thing I find is that the high-performing clinic will take responsibility for gaps in their consultation process, and they see the lack of client compliance or client agreeability as a direct result of something that they're doing or that they're not doing. All right. I'll say that again so that it makes sense. They see themselves, so whether you're a beauty therapist, a hairstylist, in the cosmetic industry, you actually take responsibility for the reasons why someone is walking away from your service having not taken up what you've offered, okay? Because it's got to do with the way that it's presented. It's got to do with, someone's desire to take up what you're offering is based on whether you've met their needs, whether you've listened to what they've asked from you, whether you've actually produced, a treatment plan or whatever it might be that really does excite and inspire them, motivate them to want to come back. Whether the home care that you have presented really does speak to what they were hoping to get out of their home care products. And often I find that the clinics and the salons that are not getting this agreeability from the clients have a lot of holes in that process. And then from a mindset perspective, they actually blame the client. So they'll say things like, well, all these clients are just looking around for a bargain, or none of these clients seem to want to make changes in their skin, or these clients weren't really interested in, higher end services like keratin or balayage, but then they don't really understand that possibly some of that disinterest or that dismissiveness is because it hasn't been presented in a way via the consultation process that's compelling, and I can unpack consult to the bloody cows come home. But, again, it's the mindset, whether it's the clients, the difference between I'm responsible for my client's agreeability or investment in this process versus the therapist or the stylist that's sitting there pointing outwards going, all these clients are not interested, or, this promotion seems to be attracting a certain type of clientele that's not really a good fit. And I've dealt with business owners, particularly, I've had a business owner come to me in the last couple of weeks and talk to me about whether to actually turn her marketing off because her team members were complaining that the clients were just so difficult. This is the challenge. Like when you're actually dealing with new clients, they're not easy. Particularly if you've been a salon or a clinic that has been used to predominantly dealing with existing clientele, or, you haven't done new client acquisition marketing. So your new clients have been people that have been referred, or they've walked in off the street ready to go. And then all of a sudden you engage in a social media marketing strategy that, lands in front of people's faces. You go to them and then they go, oh, okay, this looks okay, I'll come in. But they're not one bit ready or prepared at that point to change unless you put something in front of them that is absolutely amazing and you take responsibility for whether that person's going to invest or not. So mindset's a massive thing. Mindset of, the therapist or the stylist that are servicing the client, how much responsibility they're taking for that process, their views of the client. I know that I had another chat with a salon owner a couple of months ago, actually. She reached out to me and she was having a bit of a bad week, and she said, oh my gosh, I don't know what's happened with my team. Last week we were doing, $17,000, $18,000 weeks, and this week we've only got $2,000. I'm panicking and I don't know what's happening. $2,000 and it's Wednesday. And I said, okay, go and talk to your team and find out, and effectively what had happened was that they'd, had a couple of rejections and, a few clients coming in and, maybe a little bit more difficult than usual. And then that carried over from consult to consult to consult. And then the mindset around that was that, oh, well, there's no point to any of this. These clients are just all too difficult and they're too hard. And as a result, that affected the outcomes for the clients. The home care wasn't happening. The investment in the treatment plans or the service plans wasn't happening. And I said, you need to go and have, a conversation with your team about letting go of some of that. That they're not, doesn't matter if someone said no that time, doesn't necessarily mean that the next one's going to say no. So again, it's a mindset shift. That whole psychological approach to the clientele is pivotal in shaping or influencing their agreeability or which way that they're going to go. And I think until your team members really take that on board, and also you're responsible for cultivating that too. I know when I had my skin clinic, we had a little bit of a rule that, when I was doing my one-to-one meetings with my team members, we didn't focus on the client as the objector. We focused on what was it that we could have done, or what are the differences in our approach to the consultation process or the treatment planning process or the home care prescription that would have increased the likelihood of that person opting in to what we had to offer. That was our stance, and we didn't move from that. We never spoke about the client's, the externalized experience, whether they felt the client might have been budget restricted. They may well have been, but it doesn't necessarily mean that just because they're budget restricted that they don't take any home care. Just means that you might have to put a modified home care plan in front of them. So it's all about this. Particularly with your team members when they're starting to navigate the new client acquisition market and the complexities of that. It's not easy, so there we go. There's some food for thought for you guys when you're thinking about, coming into the marketing space, particularly for new client acquisition. I put a link on this post, guys, where we've just taken a breath in the new year and we're actually able to take on some new clientele, which hasn't happened in a very long time. I don't really market my services for marketing, which sounds strange as a marketer, because, there's a strict criteria for starters in terms of you coming along and marketing with us. But I think it's time that we bring in some new clientele and get some new experiences going for people. So I've opened up a free case study program. So you'll see the link on the post. And this is an opportunity for you to come along and sample our marketing services for 30 days for free. Really, the only expense to you is your Facebook ads, which goes to Facebook. It doesn't go to us. And then if you love us, you'll stay, which is likely to happen. But for those of you that are thinking, wouldn't mind getting into this new client acquisition market, and how do I do that? Click the link below or above, I don't know where it is, and apply to be a case study. There is an application process. So as I said, we don't take everybody because you need to meet certain criteria to be viable, I suppose, with this marketing approach that we take at Beast Mode. So, but just click the link anyway and see how you go. It might even be just worth a chat with me just to see where you're at with things and whether I can help. So look forward to chatting with you guys. Hope that's been helpful.